I don't know that I have felt that things were in divine order this week. And life is often like that. So there's so much going on between work. My husband, who was sick about a month ago, got sick again and had to be admitted to the hospital. He is doing better. But in the meantime, it felt like everything kind of blew up and landed in my lap. And our lives are often like that, aren't they? And so, as I've been navigating this week, I was kind of wondering, what is my source of power? Because I've always said it was spirit. But is it really? I hadn't realized just how much trust or how much of a foundation my husband is for me. And which is a good thing, because when I was single, I was staunchly independent to a fault. I mean, I walked through life saying and acting like I needed no one and didn't want to need anybody, because I was not going to compromise myself. I was not going to do anything I didn't want to do, and I was just full of all of that. And then I met somebody that I could trust with my life. And after being with him for a while, I just leaned into him. And now that he needs me more, I didn't quite know what to do with it this week. I have felt off kilter. And my mother-in-law, who I love dearly, my in-laws are just wonderful people, texted me this morning. And she said, I know this is hard for you with Quentin being sick. And I thought, man, she must be reading my mind from a couple hundred miles away. And I started to respond to her because Quentin is my rock. And I couldn't finish the text because I kept thinking, shouldn't God be my rock? And why didn't that come up first? It's just an interesting thing. So I've so many thoughts have been swirling through my heart and my mind this week because I'm feeling quite vulnerable. And I'm so surprised at how interdependent my life is with my husband, because I wouldn't have done that 20 years ago. And so I keep thinking of all the things that could possibly go wrong in the house that I wouldn't know how to handle, because I leave that up to him. And I just go through life thinking everything is fine and, oh, he'll handle that. And he does. He does that for me. I rest easy in that. But am I perhaps resting too easily in that? And I think we are brought into this world. I think human connection is one of the reasons why we're here. We find ourselves in each other. We show up as lessons for each other. But there's probably a point at which we get too dependent, maybe. So I don't know that I have any answers for all of this. It's all still kind of processing in my mind and certainly in my heart. So my talk title today is actually about power. I don't know that I felt powerful this week. I usually do. And power in this world, or the way the world talks about it or expresses it, or the way we expect to see it, is so different from what it truly is. We have equated power with aggression and sometimes violence. We say that corporations are powerful. We say that sometimes politicians are powerful. We think about dictators. I think about nature sometimes, the power of a hurricane or a tornado or a tsunami, that power, that uncontrollable power. And so power almost has a negative connotation now. That it's something that we wield at each other with a club, and that creates pain or oppression. And so this week, I don't know that I could say I didn't feel powerful. Just to lay it out there. I didn't. I have felt like I'm just making it through. You know, where you just kind of keep it together. You do this one thing. Okay, I handled that. You go do the next thing. Okay, I handled that. You kind of feel like you're on the verge of losing it. Sometimes I call that 5 seconds to crazy. Where one more thing can happen and you just lose it completely. You're either in tears or you're screaming and yelling, or you want to knock something over, or suddenly you've got road rage. It just takes something little to take you off kilter. And what I've learned is that the power, the peace of God, is real power. The word power actually stems from a Latin word that means to be able. It's a state of being. And then we have the choice to use it for good or for bad. But power is just a state of being. It is actually the eye in the storm. So in the tornado, it's the center that is quiet and still. When chaos is all around us, and we're able to be still and know that there is God, that is power. When we are able to have restraint, when life is pulling at us, or situations are pulling at us, or we feel our anger rising, but you can stay still and hold the anger or the words that are about to shoot out of your mouth. That is power. There's this Buddhist monastery in Western Thailand. It's called the Tiger Temple. And it's an animal sanctuary. And the animals run free, including I think they have about 10 to 15 tigers. And they roam free with the monks. And they sleep with them. They meditate with them. They feed them. A tiger. These huge, massive, powerful animals that with a stroke of the paw could kill you. And these monks walk around with them and live with them in peace. And there's never been an incident. That is power. It's quiet. It's reserved. It's tranquil. It undergirds everything else. It's amazing that we have that kind of capacity, but I think far too often we don't embrace. When I was a little girl, I was probably about 4 years old. My father and I were in the store, the Five and Dime, if anybody remembers the Five and Dimes. And we ran into a gentleman from the neighborhood, whose name I don't remember, and he said hello to me. The gentleman said hello. He said, "What's your name, little lady?" And as a lot of children will do, I hid behind my father's legs and I mumbled something to him. And my father took my hand and brought me out in front of him, and he said, "You know what your name is. Tell the gentleman what your name is and say hello." And he wasn't talking to me like I was a 4-year-old. My father had a very commanding voice, and he used it all the time. So I'm sure half the store heard what he was saying to me. So I'm mortified at 4 years old, quite embarrassed. And so I said, "Hello, my name is Kim Andrews," but I was looking down at the floor. And my father said, "Don't talk to the man's feet, honey. Look at him and look at his eyes when you say hello to him. And tell him what your name is so he can hear you." And so I spoke up and I looked in the gentleman's eyes and I said, "Hello, my name is Kim Andrews." At 4 years old. But that was like one of the first lessons I had about recognizing who I am and opening up to who that gentleman was. Looking at him, making eye contact. So many people want to be seen, and so many of us are unable to see them, or we're not willing to look them in the eye. And I think that first lesson was one of those things that taught me to be proud of who I am and to stand in it and to say it out loud with confidence. And I think that's what we're here to do. I think that is the seat of power, because that's where you speak from and express. And that's where the I am comes from. When you say, "I am powerful," when you say, "I am centered or grounded," or even that I am stupid or ugly. Giving words to something transmutes it from the formless to the formed. And so we speak into existence what we want. We express our power from there. So whether you express power or powerlessness is our choice. But power, one of the 12 powers, is an innate gift that we all have. God says that we have dominion over all things. All things. Even a Bengal tiger. Obviously. I don't know that I'm wielding that kind of power.
Let's get there.
I'd love to get there. I wonder if there's a way to test it before you get the tiger in front of you. I don't know.
Plane ticket.
Yes, me too. And I think if I did have that, this week would have felt differently.
Amen. That's right.
Yeah. This is where the rubber meets the road, friends. When life sets us off balance and we have to find our power, it has to come within, because it can't be in the people we love. If it's centered there and then they're not with us, then what happens? What do you have? It can't be in your job. It can't be in the amount of money that you make, or the house that you live in, or the things that you have. Because if they're gone, then what do you have? It's also fleeting. Life is fleeting. Certainty that is this material world, those things that I think we usually hold store in, are fleeting. And can be gone like that. And so I do know that this power is only possible if we sit with God and we connect with the divine power in which we live and have our being, and that is within us. And we call it up at times when we need it, or we start to feel it when we need it. And I think what I experienced this week is having my humanness all over me, and my emotion all over me, and sitting and being still at times when I'm normally having a lot of activity. So I found myself this morning and other days just kind of sitting for 5 minutes or so and just being still and listening to my breath or feeling the beat of my heart. And trying to connect with God, whatever that means. And sometimes I was in tears. And sometimes I felt powerless. But I still had an assurance that there was something there that's always at our fingertips that we can call upon. And I think now, as I'm speaking to you, that what I'll do starting this morning and forward is saying out loud that I am that same power that is God, that gift that I was given, that same power that created the heavens and the earth. We are. Maybe it's about taking it from the formless to the formed by speaking it out loud. And like my father taught me to do, say who it is, who I am, out loud. That I am a child of God, and that everything is given to me, and that I have dominion over all. Just saying it now makes me feel better than I felt all week. How amazing is that? That we just get to express and make it happen. Jesus was able to move from the formless to the formed in so many ways, to heal the blind, to raise Lazarus from the dead, turn water into wine, just by saying it out loud, commanding it. And Scripture says we have the same power. And I think we fail to say it. We fail to stand up and say, this is who I am. This is what I command in my life right now. What could change if we did? Probably everything. Everything, yes. Think about that. We have dominion over all things. And probably the hardest is to have dominion over ourselves, our thoughts and our feelings, our fears, our doubts. And to affirm, I am not my fear. I am not the chaos that's happening around me. I am power. I am strength. I am one with God. And move forward and express that. Man is divinity in action. Gosh, how I wish that's what my week had been like. It certainly didn't feel divine. You know, but sometimes life is crushing, and our circumstances are crushing, and it just builds, till it feels like it's going to take us out. But we do have the power. In the midst of it all, it doesn't make it go away. It changes who we are, changes how we're feeling. And it connects us once again to who we truly are. I have used the 12 powers for years in my life. And I'd invite you to learn what those are. And we're going to talk about them in the months to come. So they're faith, imagination, right judgment, life, love, order, power, renunciation, strength, understanding, will, and zeal. At the end of my meditation time, I stand up and I say that I am each of those things. Maybe I need to do that about 20 times a day in the week to come, so that I remember who I truly am, and that I do have dominion over all of this stuff that's swirling through my life right now. You are power. Simply divine. Again, it's here again. We are simply divine. And we have mastery over all, including ourselves. The world doesn't have to toss us around. The hurricane can swirl, the tornado can swirl, and we can be the eye of the storm, the quiet, powerful place. But we need practice. Practice saying it aloud, practice bringing it forth. Practice expressing it and being it. Under us, we still stand on solid ground. That is God. Let's go into meditation. Take some deep breaths. Feeling your heart, the beat of your heart. Feel the motion of the air against your skin as the fans revolve. Hear the quiet in the room. And tap into that place within you that is God, where you hear the still small voice, the seat of your power. Be still and know that you are God. All power is given unto you. Seek God with all of your heart. Seek God with all of your mind. Seek God with all of your strength. Settle more deeply into your heart, continuing to breathe deeply. Knowing that all is well, even in the midst of the storm. You are not the storm. You are the eye. God lives in you, and you are its perfect expression. in all things, through all things. You are faith. You are imagination. You are right judgment and wisdom. You are life. You are love. You are order and power. You are renunciation. You are strength. You are understanding. You are will and zeal. Take another deep breath. Breathing in life and love. Feeling this peace in this moment that envelops each and every one of us in one heart and mind with God. God within us, God around us. You are whole, perfect, and complete, lacking nothing. Able to transmute whatever it is that you command from the formless to the formed. Take another deep breath, settling in more deeply. Feeling this God space. Knowing more deeply in this very moment that this is who you are. This is who you are. You are power. Take another deep breath. Memorizing this place, this feeling, this sacredness. Knowing that at any moment you can call it back and have it permeate your being. Recognizing that it is you, the truth of you. One more deep breath. When you're ready, open your eyes and return to the room.